The paper grocery bag slipped right out of my hands before I could even think. The jar of red spaghetti sauce fell to the floor and smashed into a million pieces. Red sauce spread everywhere, splashing across my shiny white tile like a tiny, messy volcano had erupted in my kitchen. I froze, standing in the doorway for a few seconds holding my keys. My mom and my sister were inside my house. My house. The one I had only shown them in pictures just 3 days ago. The one I hadn't even told them the address to. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice sounding strange and hollow. Before I continue, don't forget to subscribe and join the awesome community. Drop a comment below to tell me where you're watching from and what you think of the story. Zephra, my sister, spun around with a measuring tape in her hands. She looked a little surprised, but then her face quickly turned back into that look she always wore, like she thought she owned everything. "Amara, you're home early," she said, like it was completely normal that she was in my house. Mom was moving my sofa and chairs around, arranging them in a way I knew I would hate. The way she fluffed a pillow or shifted a chair made my stomach tighten. "We thought you'd be at work until 5, I said, still staring at them, trying to keep my voice calm. "How did you even get in here?" Mom waved her hand like it was nothing. "Oh, I got a key made yesterday when I stopped by to congratulate you." I remembered suddenly. Mom had asked to use the bathroom when she came by a few days ago, and she had left her purse in the hallway. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even notice. "You took my keys and made a copy?" "Without asking me?" I asked, my voice shaking a little. Mom just said, "Don't be so dramatic, honey," and went back to fluffing her throw pillow like nothing had happened. "We're just seeing how to make this work for everyone," she said casually. I wanted to ask, "Make what work?" But before I could even speak, it hit me. The truth slammed into me like a heavy door closing. I realized something I had ignored for years. I remembered Zephra's 11th birthday. There had been a clown, balloons, and a big backyard carnival. I remembered my 11th birthday that same year. Just a store-bought cake in our tiny living room. Mom had always said things like, "It's just not in the budget for you." But for Zephra, no expense was too big. When I had told Mom I was house hunting last month, she didn't congratulate me. No happy words, no excited hugs. She had called Zephra immediately, talking about opportunities. The pattern was clear now. I had spent my whole life always giving in, always being second, always putting Zephra first. "This is my house," I said, my voice cold and sharp like ice. "Wine." I walked over to Zephra and grabbed the spare key from her hand. She held it for a second, then let go. "You can't be serious about living here alone," Zephra said, her forehead wrinkled with fake concern. "This house has 3 bedrooms. The kids need space." I was stunned. "Your housing situation is not my problem," I said, my voice firmer than I thought I could make it. Mom's eyes widened, and she pressed her hand to her chest like I had just stabbed her with words. "After everything we've done for you," she said, voice trembling. "You have exactly 2 minutes to leave before I call the police," I said, pointing firmly at the door. They froze like I had thrown a snowball at them. Then they left, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. I slid the deadbolt into place. The click made me feel calm for the first time in years. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Dad's name flashed on the screen. "What the heck are you doing?" he shouted the moment I answered. "Your mother is in tears. You're tearing the family apart." I said nothing, just scrubbed the red sauce on my floor. My hands moved automatically, scrubbing harder than ever, like I could scrub away all the anger and betrayal I felt. "Zephra needs help. That's what family does," Dad yelled. "You've always understood that before." I whispered to myself, shaking. "Always understood. Always gave. Always helped. Not anymore." I hung up and looked at the family photo on my mantle. Mom, Dad, Zephra with her perfect husband and 3 children, and me, off to the side, smiling a small, tired smile I had worn my whole life. For the first time, I saw the truth clearly. I saw the pattern. The way my whole life had been about making Zephra's life easier, about giving pieces of my life away without even realizing it. I turned the photo face down on the shelf. My house is mine. My life is mine. I'm done giving pieces of it away. 3 days later, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee. Finally, a moment of peace. A Facebook notification popped up. Zephra had tagged me. I tapped it, thinking it would be another passive-aggressive family photo with me awkwardly on the edge. But it wasn't. It was a post from 3 weeks ago, before I had even bought my house. Zephra's kids were crowded into their shared bedroom. The caption read, Kids are finally getting a bigger place soon. Blessed. Family first. I scrolled down to read the comments. One friend asked, "Which bedroom does Ellie get?" Zephyr's answer, "The blue one with the bay window. Jack and Tyler will share the room across the hall. Mom thinks the third bedroom should stay a guest room in case Aunt Carol visits." My coffee mug slipped from my hands, spilling hot liquid on my bare feet. I barely noticed the burn. 3 weeks ago. They had been planning this before I had even signed my mortgage papers. This wasn't an idea that just came to them after seeing my house. This was a carefully planned scheme to take over my home. My stomach lurched as my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Dad, but he had accidentally included me in a message meant for Mom and Zephyr. "Don't worry about Amara's tantrum," it said. "She'll give in once you're settled. She always does." I could feel my hands shaking. My whole body trembled as the realization sank in. 3 words. 3 words that summed up my entire life. She always does. The next evening, a dinner invitation arrived via text. "We need to talk about a solution. Your mother is making pot roast. 7 p.m., Dad wrote. Every instinct screamed at me to stay home. To avoid them. But a tiny hopeful part of me thought maybe, just maybe, they had changed. I went. The table was set with Mom's best dishes. Dad, Mom, and Zephyr sat on one side. An empty chair waited for me. The space between us felt like a river, dividing us completely. "Amara," Mom said, smiling tight-lipped, "we're so glad you could join us." Before I could answer, Dad slid a manila folder across the table. "We found the perfect solution," he said. Inside were printouts of 5 houses, all close to Zephyr's children's school. Each had notes like perfect playroom and good backyard. "These are lovely," I said carefully. Dad continued, "for all of you together. We already talked to your bank." Mom added, stirring her iced tea, "Transferring your mortgage to another house is simple. The difference in price would be manageable if everyone contributes." I felt my mouth go dry. "You contacted my bank?" I asked. Mom waved like it was no big deal. "Just preliminary discussions," she said. Zephyr added, "Your furniture won't all fit of course, but we could sell the extra pieces. The kids need space for bunk beds." Her husband Cale strolled in late as usual. "I was thinking about the garage spaces," he said casually. "The left side would work better for my truck, if Amara doesn't mind parking on the street." I felt frozen. They were casually dividing my property. My house. My things. My life. Dad said, "Refusing would show you don't really care about family. Think of your nieces and nephew. Children remember who is there for them." The familiar weight of obligation pressed against me. All my life I had been Zephyr's helper, never just Amara with my own dreams and needs. "I spoke with Caius at your office," Dad said casually. "He understands your family might need some flexibility in your schedule." Mom's voice trembled. "After all we've done, giving you a home all those years. You should help now." The memory hit me sharply. I had paid my own rent while living in their basement in college. They had paid everything for Zephyr without question. The silence at the table grew. They waited for me to give in. I knew the script. Amara protests. Amara gives in. Amara always does. But something had changed. Since the day I found them in my house, the pattern was visible. Like one of those magic pictures that suddenly make sense after years of looking at dots. I stood, placing my napkin carefully beside my untouched plate. "Watch me not help," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I walked out, ignoring their shouts and demands to come back and be reasonable. In my car, my phone started buzzing with calls and texts. I switched it to silent, finally feeling free even for just a little while. For the first time, I realized that my house, my life, and my happiness were mine to keep. Not my sister's. Not my parents'. And I wasn't going to give pieces of it away anymore. As I drive home that night, my phone keeps buzzing and lighting up with angry messages. Each ping makes me flinch. I hold the steering wheel tightly, my mind spinning. I wonder if sticking to my rules and keeping my family out is really worth it. Maybe I should just let them back in? Maybe I should try to find a way that doesn't hurt anyone, a way that doesn't take away my freedom. But the thought of compromise feels weak. My house is mine. Every corner, every room belongs to me. But is shutting everyone out the only way to protect it? I try to think of a middle path, a compromise that could let them come back without taking over my life. I imagine smiling, handing them keys, letting them sit on my couch, having dinner together. Seems nice for a moment, almost like the old days. Then I remembered the Facebook post. The memory hits me like a cold wind. They never wanted to ask. They didn't plan to be polite or considerate. They wanted to take what they wanted without thinking about me at all. Some boundaries can't be halfway. Some boundaries are like walls, thick and strong, because the only way to protect yourself is to keep others out. 3 days after the dinner where I told my family to leave, my phone keeps buzzing like a drum in my ear. Each message feels like a little explosion, jolting me awake even when I try to relax. I made the mistake of opening Zephra's latest Facebook post. My stomach twists into knots as I see her children all squished together on a pull-out sofa. They are making exaggerated sad faces like little actors posing for the camera. The caption says something like, "When a family doesn't get bedrooms, family first. Unless you're selfish." I scroll through the comments and my stomach sinks further. People I've known since I was little are telling her they're praying for her and sending kind words. 3 different church ladies say they want to talk to me about family values. I sit frozen, my finger hovering over the reply button. What could I possibly say that wouldn't make this worse? Anything I say will either make me look mean or start another argument. Then my phone buzzes again, this time a text from Mrs. Thalassa, my 3rd grade teacher. "Your mother showed me pictures of your beautiful house. I raised 4 children in half that size." I feel my hands get tight and I put the phone face down on the counter. My knuckles whiten as I grip the edge. The feeling in my chest is like fire. The betrayal stings, not just from Zephra, who I've come to expect these things from, but from Mom. Mom has posted pictures of my house online with captions about forgetting where I came from and how success has gone to my head. I never thought she would try to shame me into the world. The doorbell rings and my heart jumps into my throat. I peek through the peephole and see Orrin Williams standing on my front step, Bible tucked under his arm. My stomach twists into a knot. This isn't random. This is planned. I know it. I call through the door, my voice steady. "I'm sorry, I'm not available today." He steps closer and says, "Amara Adams, I've known you since Sunday school. Your family is worried. I'm here to give you advice as your spiritual guide." I interrupt him, my voice firm. "I didn't ask for advice. Please respect my privacy." He sighs and I can hear it through the door. "I'll be praying for your heart to soften." After he leaves, I sit at my kitchen table, trembling. I take out a notebook and start making a list of everything that has happened since I told my family to leave my house. The scale of what they are trying to do is getting clearer and scarier. Yesterday, I discovered the first solid evidence of how far they are willing to go. My mortgage statement didn't arrive, so I called the bank. They said my parents contacted them and asked the bank to send my financial documents to their house instead of mine. My chest tightens and I feel a wave of panic. They nearly succeeded. They almost got control of my mortgage. What else could they take? What else in my life could they quietly try to control without asking me? Sleep has become almost impossible. I lie awake, counting the cracks in the ceiling, thinking about everything that could happen. Every creak in the house makes me jump. Checking the mail each day feels terrifying. What new rule will they break? What new guilt will they try to make me feel? This morning, I received an email from my homeowners association. My parents had called them with complaints that I was running a business from home. It wasn't true, but I had to answer formally and prove that I sometimes work from home, but I don't run a business. The cost of keeping my independence keeps growing. But the thought of a lifetime of being seen as nothing more than Zephra's helper, of being used and ignored, seems unbearable. I start small, step by step. I changed all my passwords. I have my mail sent directly to my workplace instead of my home. I install security cameras on every entrance. I make a careful record of every unwanted message, every social media post, every time someone tries to access my personal information. Writing it all down helps me calm my shaking hands. When the security company finishes installing the cameras, I feel a strange mix of sadness and relief. My house, which was supposed to be a place of freedom, now feels like a fortress. Every door, every window, every hallway has a camera. It is safe, but it is no longer open and warm like I had imagined. The next morning, something small but magical happens. On my desk at work, there is a loaf of homemade bread wrapped in brown paper. A small note is tucked under the twine. Says, "Sorry I blabbed about your new place. Not everyone thinks you're wrong. Some of us wish we'd been brave enough to set boundaries years ago. Ira, my friend, is one of them." I hadn't realized how lonely I had been until this small act of kindness brought tears to my eyes. For a few moments I feel calm and happy. But the peace doesn't last. That evening I pulled into my driveway and saw Zephyr's big SUV parked in front of my house. Shadows move inside my home. The familiar surge of fear is joined by something new, a cold, hard anger. This time I don't hesitate. I called the police from my car. I watch through my windows as neighbors peek out to see what is happening. By the time the officer arrives, my family notices me sitting in the driveway. They spill onto the front porch. Mom's face is tight with self-righteous anger. Dad is red in the face. Zephyr clutches her purse to her chest like a shield. She cries dramatically, "We were just visiting." I showed the officer my phone. "What key?" I ask calmly. I show the security camera footage. "I didn't give you permission to enter my home." Mom steps forward, eyes darting around, worried about what people might think. But something shifts inside me. I realize the question that has controlled my life for so long, "What will people think?" is suddenly unimportant. I don't care what they think, I say. I care what I think. And I think this ends today. The officer tells them to leave and warns them about trespassing. I watch them drive away, feeling something I've never felt before. Control. Freedom. Relief. I have spent my whole life afraid of disappointing my family, worried about their approval. But they have never considered my feelings, my independence, or my right to live my life the way I want. The next day, Soren, a friend from college who is now a family lawyer, comes to help me. We sit together and start drafting a formal cease and desist letter. "They're counting on your guilt," he says. "They've used it your whole life. Don't let them." I gather everything: financial records, social media posts, texts, emails. A paper trail of years of manipulation. Each piece makes me feel safer. I hope I will never have to use it, but I feel stronger knowing I have it. When Zephyr shows up at my workplace later, her eyes swollen from fake crying, my coworkers form a protective wall around me. Ira intercepts her at the front desk. 2 more friends happen to join me for lunch when Zephyr tries to ambush me in the parking lot. The contrast is stark. The people who owe me nothing respect my boundaries without question, while my family, who should protect me, has trampled every rule I make. Every day my voice grows stronger. No becomes easier to say. "This doesn't work for me" rolls off my tongue without apology. I've made my decision, no longer feels like a betrayal. At home, I change all the locks again, upgrading the security system with cameras that alert me on my phone. I organize all my records, financial, text messages, social media posts. Everything neatly in labeled folders. One afternoon I saw a notification from my doorbell camera. Mom is on my front step trying to use a key in my lock. She tries 3 different keys, glancing nervously over her shoulder. The key doesn't work. My heart pounds as I watch the footage. This isn't over, I realize. This is just the beginning. I spend my Sunday afternoon at the dining table, assembling all the evidence like puzzle pieces. Every trespass, every manipulation, every lie is documented. The security footage shows Mom trying keys while I was at work. I add the timestamp to my spreadsheet, feeling a strange curl of satisfaction instead of guilt. Soren looks over everything on Sunday. "This looks very thorough," he says, adjusting his glasses. "The cease and desist letter should be ready tomorrow. Will you deliver it yourself?" "I need to do this myself," I say. I add the mortgage company's call recording to a labeled folder. The representative's voice still rings in my ears. They informed me that someone claiming to be my mother tried to transfer my mortgage to another property. It couldn't happen without my authorization, but the thought that she even tried chills me. My therapist, Leocadia, guides me. Document, don't engage. Facts, not emotions. Boundaries, not arguments. Her advice steadies my shaking hands. Monday morning, I handed the certified letter to my mother. She doesn't open it, just stares at me with sad, wounded eyes. "You'll regret this," she whispers, but she takes the envelope. 3 days pass in blessed silence. No calls, no texts, no unexpected visits. For the first time in weeks, I sleep through the night, finally feeling the peace I've been craving for so long. Thursday brings the trouble I had been expecting. I'm sitting at my desk at work, quietly reviewing code, trying to focus. The hum of the computers and the soft tapping of keyboards around me is calming. Then suddenly Ira from accounting comes up to my cubicle. Her eyes are wide like saucers and her hands are fidgeting. "Your parents are in the lobby," she whispers, looking around nervously. They said your sister had an accident and they need you right away. My heart jumps into my throat. I feel a cold, heavy dread wash over me. My stomach twist. My mind races a million miles a minute. Could something really have happened to Zephyra? I fumble for my phone. But then just as quickly I notice a text from Zephyra herself, complaining about her kids' school lunches. The text is time-stamped just 2 minutes ago. My chest tightens. Relief mixes with anger. I take a deep breath and step out of my cubicle. My parents are already arguing with the receptionist. Mom is dabbing at her dry eyes with a crumpled tissue, trying to look worried and upset. Dad's face is red and he's demanding, "Bring Amara out immediately. This is a family emergency." I step fully into view. I just texted with Zephyra, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "She's fine." Mom drops the tissue and her eyes widen. "Amara. Thank goodness. We were so worried. Miss Adams." My boss appears beside me, her expression carefully neutral, like she's trying not to get involved in family drama. "Is everything all right?" she asks. Dad tries to smile, the kind of smile he uses when he's trying to charm people into doing what he wants. "Family matters. We'll just borrow Amara for a bit." I speak louder this time so the entire reception area can hear. "My family is lying about a medical emergency to disrupt my workday," I say. My voice is calm, though my hands tremble slightly. I apologize to everyone for the disturbance. Security comes and escorts my parents out while I turn and return to my desk. I don't even bother noticing the stairs this time. That evening, when I'm back at home and trying to unwind, I discover Zephyra's latest attack. Someone has made a GoFundMe page called Housing Crisis, Help My Children Have a Home, and my photo is right there on the page. My chest tightens again, this time with anger. My image is being used without my permission. I picked up the phone and sent one email to the GoFundMe legal team, explaining that the photo was used without my approval. By morning, the campaign is gone. Later that night, a voicemail from Dad comes through. His voice starts out loud and angry, but then it slips into telling the truth by accident. "You ungrateful little. Do you know what you've done? We had it all planned. We were going to move in whether you liked it or not, and now you've embarrassed your mother in front of..." I save the recording with a grim smile. At least now I have proof of their plans and their lies. A few days later, my company announced a new job opening at their branch in Colorado Springs. I sit at my desk staring at the email. Should I take this opportunity? Should I move far away from my family and start fresh? Or would moving mean letting them win, letting them control my life? Luckily, I'm not alone. My support system rallies around me like a protective wall. Soren sends a formal warning to my family, clearly outlining the legal consequences if they continue harassing me. Leocadia helps me write responses that stay calm and factual, without letting my family's emotional bait pull me into arguments. My boss offers me flexible hours during this transitional period, her eyes understanding but never pitying me. My realtor friend Eloan walks around my house looking at the perimeter. "Your house needs better security," she says, pointing to spots for motion-sensing lights and suggesting ways to reinforce the back door. I had expected to feel alone in this fight, but instead I've discovered allies I never realized I had. People who value my boundaries, who recognize the toxicity of my family, and who want to see me safe and happy. Even my extended family starts to question my parents' plans. Aunt Isolde calls hesitantly, asking if she can hear my side of the story. Cousin Thayer sends me a message, saying he doesn't think it's right what my parents are asking. Even Zephyra's social media campaign backfires when her friends comment, questioning why she can't support her own family and why I should be responsible for her children. The cracks in their carefully maintained facade are beginning to show. By Friday afternoon, the job offer email arrives. The words "Colorado Springs Branch Manager" glow on my screen like a tiny beacon of hope. I feel something loosen in my chest. Maybe it's possibility, maybe it's freedom. For the first time in weeks, I smile without reservation. A week later, I'm at home. On the kitchen counter sits a cherry pie. It looks innocent enough, but I know it's a trap. Mom is standing next to it, her fingers tapping against the granite in the familiar rhythm of impatience, one I've known since I was a small child. "It's your favorite," she says. But cherry has never been my favorite. It's always been Zephyra's. I've corrected her on this fact at least 20 times over the years. Her eyes keep flicking to the security camera near the entryway. The blinking red light seems to make her nervous. I can't help but feel a small measure of satisfaction at that. I think we got off on the wrong foot, Mom says, her voice unnaturally pleasant. She has clearly rehearsed this speech. I notice the way she keeps shifting her weight from one foot to the other, just like she did before parent-teacher conferences when I was little. Your father and I have been thinking, she continues, and we've come up with the perfect compromise. I wasn't aware that we were negotiating, so I kept my distance behind the kitchen island, which feels like a necessary barrier. Mom pulls a large folder from her oversized purse. We found some lovely properties just 15 minutes from here, she says. 5 bedrooms, plenty of space. She slides several glossy listings toward me. You sell this cottage and we all move into one of these. There's even a mother-in-law suite for Zephyr's family. I flip through the listings. The prices are 3 times what my cottage cost. I blink. And exactly how would this work financially? I ask. Well, you'd get the master bedroom, of course, Mom says, smiling as if she is offering me a tremendous gift. We've already toured 3 of them. The realtor was very accommodating when we explained the situation. You toured houses in my name? I ask, keeping my voice calm even though my brain is spinning. Mom waves dismissively. We needed to move quickly. She leans forward, lowering her voice. Listen, Posey, if you're going to be difficult about this, we can always contest the ownership. You couldn't possibly have afforded this place without family help. Family help. I say, the words tasting bitter. Do they mean the rent I paid while living at home in college? Or the student loans I'm still paying off while Zephyr's education was fully funded? Mom's face hardens. Don't be ungrateful, she snaps. I walk calmly to my office without responding. I return with an envelope which I place on the counter next to her untouched pie. What's this? She asks. I push it toward her. It's a job offer from our company's new branch in Arizona. I accepted it last week. Her hand freezes mid-tap. Arizona. Yes. I'm selling the cottage and moving to Tucson next month. But what about Zephyra? She asks, her voice faltering. Her housing situation is not my concern, I say, and I open a drawer to pull out a thick manila folder. I've been collecting important documentation. I spread it across the counter. Financial records showing that I paid rent throughout college, while Zephyr's education was fully funded. Birthday expenditures showing the thousands spent on Zephyr versus the bare minimum for me. Loan papers for cars bought for Zephyr while I saved for my used Honda. Mom stares at me. What is this supposed to be? Evidence, I say firmly. I tap my phone and pull up my security footage. I show her 17 unauthorized entry attempts on my property. Herself and Zephyr testing keys, peeking through windows, and even once bringing a locksmith who thankfully refused the job. I'm not running away, I say, gathering the papers. I'm running toward something better. A life where I am valued, not just useful. Your father will be furious, she whispers. I smile faintly. I'm counting on it. 3 days later, I arrived at my parents' house for what they call a family meeting to resolve the housing situation. The driveway is full. Aunt Isolde's car, Cousin Thayer's SUV, even Grandma's ancient Buick. The gang is all there to witness my surrender. I take a deep breath, folder tucked securely under my arm, and step inside. The conversation halts when I enter. Zephyr sits on the couch between my parents, a united front. The extended family is arranged in a loose semicircle, like an audience waiting for a performance. There she is, Dad says, forcing a smile. We were just about to explain our solution to everyone. Actually, I say, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent room, I have an announcement first. I place my folder on the coffee table and open it to reveal the listing for my cottage, complete with professional photographs and a bright red for sale banner across the top. My house is going on the Kaylet on Monday. I also told everyone that I got a new job in Arizona, and I will be moving there next month. For a few seconds no one says anything. The room feels very quiet, like the kind of quiet that makes your ears tingle. Then Zephyr screams. But what about us? She cries. Where are we supposed to go? I look at her without turning away. The same place you've been living. The same place you'd still be if you hadn't tried to take what's mine. Dad stands up. His face turns bright red and his hands shake a little. Is this how you leave your family? After everything we did for you? Everything I did? I ask calmly. I take out papers that show the truth and hand them to my grandmother and aunt. Here's a record of what really happened, I say. You treated your daughters differently. Different rules, different help, different expectations. My aunt's eyes get wide as she looks at the papers. You made her pay rent while she was in college, but you paid for Zephyr's apartment? It built character. Dad snaps. But he looks less sure as more family members start reading the papers. You should see the security videos, I say loud enough for everyone to hear. Of them trying to break into my house while I was at work. Calling my mortgage company pretending to be me. Making a GoFundMe saying I was in trouble. Grandma covers her mouth with her hand. Is this true? She asks. Dad and Mom don't answer. The silence says it all. That evening as I drive home my phone buzzes. The messages are not from my parents or Zephyr. They are from my aunt, my cousins and my grandmother. They send words of support. Some ask if they had been told the wrong things about other family matters for years. Feels like the start of cracks in the family stories. 2 days later my real estate agent called with amazing news. You've got an offer. $20,000 more than asking cash and they can close in 30 days. I'll take it, I say without thinking twice. One more thing, she adds. Do you want to keep the spare keys or should I throw them away? I think of all the times my keys were copied without asking. All the times my boundaries were crossed. Throw them away, I say. I won't need them where I'm going. Later, I hear that my parents have already asked my cousin Kalen about his guest house. The same problems continue, but I am not part of it anymore. I wonder if I could ever have a relationship with my family again, or if distance is what I need to heal. But that can wait. Today I have boxes to pack and a new life to start. One that is mine. A year later the sun shines through my windows. I don't have curtains yet because I haven't decided what I want. My furniture is exactly where I put it, not where someone else told me to put it. On the wall near my desk there are pictures of me, standing on a mountain in Colorado, shaking hands with the CEO after my promotion, smiling in front of this house on closing day. None of the pictures have my family in them. My phone sits on the counter. Sometimes it lights up with messages. A year ago I would have jumped at it, worried about another demand or fight. Now I just glance at it casually. Unknown numbers go straight to voicemail. Some familiar ones too. Outside my garden catches the morning sun. The herbs I plant, basil, thyme, rosemary, grow in neat rows. Mom used to say they were too strong for her taste, but I love them. Bright orange marigolds line the walkway. I was never allowed to plant near the house before. Mom always wanted roses instead. I pick a fresh strawberry from my patch and taste the sweetness. I smile. The doorbell rings at noon. Friends come in with gift bags and food. They are happy to see me just for me, not because they want anything. Happy birthday, Posy. Seraphine, my friend from work, says as she sets down an apple pie. Not cake, asks Kaylin, another coworker who drove 2 hours. I've always liked pie, I say. For years I had to eat chocolate cake because Zephyr liked it. Mom always said making 2 desserts was wasteful. Seraphine puts candles on the pie while I pour wine into glasses I chose because I liked them. What should we toast to? Amelia, my neighbor who gave me homemade bread when I moved in, asks. To build homes, not just houses, I say, raising my glass. And to the family we choose. The words feel warm in my chest as we clink glasses. Near my door there is a small wooden key hook with just one key, mine. No spare, no copies, no one else. After everyone leaves I think about Eric's, a new engineer at work. Yesterday our project manager ignored his ideas. I remember feeling the same way when my family ignored me. Actually, I say, interrupting the manager, Eric's idea could save us a lot of testing time. Let's hear more. Eric's looks surprised and grateful. It feels like I am finally standing up for someone, just like I stood up for myself with my family. My phone buzzes with a text from Lior, the landscape architect I've been seeing for a month. Still on for hiking Saturday, it says. I smile and text back, absolutely. Before bed I scroll through my phone. I see an old family photo, everyone close together, but I am slightly out of frame. I hesitate, then delete it. I replaced it with a picture of my front door painted bold red, the way I always wanted it. My cousin Brenda texts sometimes. Last week my uncle called. These small connections happen on my terms and they respect the boundaries I set. I get into bed in my quiet house. I wonder if I really needed to leave my parents and Zephyr to heal, or if one day I could have a better, fair relationship with them. For now I'm happy with the life I built. Everything, from the herbs in my garden to the friends around my table, shows who I truly am. I make a cup of tea every morning and sit by the window watching birds hop along the fence. Sometimes, a squirrel comes to steal a peanut from my little bird feeder. I laugh quietly to myself because no one ever laughs with me when I enjoy small things. I don't have to explain why I like these moments now. They're just mine. I set up a little shelf in the kitchen for my favorite cookbooks. I never had space for them before. Some of the books are old and worn, but I love them because they remind me of the recipes I've learned on my own. I plan the week's meals by flipping through them. Tonight will be pasta with fresh basil from the garden. I can finally cook exactly how I like. I also started painting little rocks I find on walks and putting them in my garden. Some are painted like animals, some with flowers and some with funny faces. They make me smile every time I see them. No one told me these were silly or wrong. They are my little treasures. Every weekend I take long walks around the neighborhood. I notice the colors of leaves, the shapes of clouds, and the way the wind moves the branches. Sometimes I stop and sit on a bench for a while just listening to the sounds around me. I never had this kind of quiet and peace before. My family was always noisy, always expecting me to do something or be someone else. Now I can just be. Sometimes I think about my old life, the fights, the arguments, the times I felt invisible. It doesn't make me sad anymore. I understand now that standing up for myself was necessary. I had to make choices that were hard, but they helped me find freedom and peace. Even when I get a little lonely, I remember that I am surrounded by friends who love me for who I am. People like Seraphine, Kaylin, Amelia, and Lear make my life feel full. These are the relationships I chose. They are not forced. They are based on kindness, respect, and joy. I also make time for myself. I read books, listen to music, or just sit in my garden. Sometimes I write in a journal, remembering things I am grateful for. I am grateful for my house, my friends, my job, and most of all, my freedom. I don't have to live someone else's life anymore. At night, before I go to sleep, I look out my bedroom window. I see the stars above my garden. I feel calm. I feel proud of everything I have built. And I know that tomorrow I can make new choices, try new things, and continue building a life that is truly mine. Even though my family and Zephyr are still out there living their lives, I am okay with distance. I know that boundaries are important. I can be kind, but I will also protect my peace. And that is more important than anything else. I close my eyes, thinking about all the people who love me and all the things I have created. I feel happy and safe. I know that being true to myself is the best choice I ever made.